Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
World's End is, well, literally 24 hours away, less than that now. We're about to enter the final 24 hours before AEW's last show of 2023, the culmination of the Continental Classic. And will we see the devil? We will find out. Of course, I'm your host, Adam Cousins, and I'm joined by my illustrious colleague and tag team partner, Mr. Dave Robinson, who is now Bullet. We're Blacksmith, so both of these shirts are available on the Blacksmith Apparel website, so please go on there. You get your choice. I am wearing the Scott Hall black and white drip. It does say Hall, you can't see. And on the back is a nice inscription that says, good guys, bad, the bit that he done at the end of his Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah, it's bad times don't last, dreams come true.
Yeah, but bad guy. You get that. You get the gist. Anyway, the last little is a little inscription on the back of it. It's a really cool shirt.
That's going to bug me now.
I'm not taking my shirt off on this show, Dave. It wouldn't be. Ratings would literally fall apart. So you'd have to. You're probably looking at it.
Oh no, it's bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
There you go. That's it. Anyway, that's inscribed on the back on the back bit here. Dave's wearing the Bullet Club shirt. As I said, go to Blacksmith Apparel for that. There he goes. I'll tell you what, you'll be able to see. There it is. Hall. See. I have also a United Empire one from Blacksmith that will be on future shows.
Love to get the Blacksmith guys on the podcast next year. I was talking to one of them at All In. Be great because obviously they do wrestling apparel. I've always been a fan, so have you. You know, we've always loved our merch. But what I love with these Blacksmith shirts is the quality of them. They're like soccer jerseys, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're, really kind of smart tops as well. Long lasting, enduring, good quality. They're not going to fall apart when you put them in the washing machine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be great to talk to them to how they've combined a great quality product with pro wrestling and how successful it's been.
Just to add, Blacksmith, go and hit up Joe Lando, Danny Black, or Mayhew and get a CPF one done. Yeah, please. That would be great. I'd love that. Yeah, so Blacksmith Apparel. Sorry, we're rattling on about things that we're about them, but yeah, we'll try and get Blacksmith. I'm sure we'll get them on at one point, have a good chat with them about merchandise. Anyway, World's End. We are here. It is in Long Island, New York, as our perfectly formed mountains show behind. There's currently 11 matches, on the card. So I'll go through them in order, well, as it is on order from Wikipedia. So apologies, I'm using Wikipedia. I know Matt Raywell told me off before about using things like that when I ballsed up his entrance or his introduction. So, but now we can't really do a prediction for the pre-show match because they haven't announced who's in it right now. But there is going to be a 20-man battle royal, and the winner of that gets a TNT title shot anytime, any place, anywhere. So hard to predict. I'm going to give you my theory. We spoke about it on the AEW. Killswitch is going to win it. Christian Cage is going to beat Adam Copeland. Killswitch is going to come out, cash in the shot against Christian, and reunite with Jack Perry.
It's bold, but I like it. Yeah. I suppose that we're unsure what's happening with Jack Perry, and he's been rumored to be playing a part in the Devil's Dudes or the Devil himself. But yeah, maybe reuniting Jurassic Express could be a way to go. I definitely think you've got something in terms of Killswitch winning that match.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll get to the predictions in a minute, but Christian and Copeland have already had a match, which Christian won. And that doesn't necessarily mean that Copeland's going to win the second one.
No.
But it would be... I don't know where that leaves Copeland in the aftermath of that.
Yeah.
Going to AEW, losing his first two big matches or high-profile matches, both to Christian. So, yeah, again, like we were talking about on the Dynamite show, a lot of intrigue, but I think Killswitch to win that Battle Royal would be very interesting.
Do you have anyone else in mind? There's
Yeah,
no,
I'll try.
they've not been announced, so we don't even know who's in it. So
Yeah, I would love it to be a Roosh or a Daniel Garcia, somebody that's been involved in the tournament but that's come up short. But
won't be those, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
okay. Um,
Burst your bubble.
Other than those, again, I'm just thinking about competitors in the C2, but Mark Briscoe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who else. Wardlow, could that be somebody? We've seen Wardlow had multiple TNT title reigns. Somebody, but I suppose that really, you say anytime, anywhere, so it's
Yep.
not like at a set
It's
date.
gonna be
So
like Money in the Bank, but just
okay, see that could make it a little bit more open to you won't necessarily need a face or a heel to win, depending on who wins the title match. So if it could be a longer process, I mean, it could be somebody who isn't in AEW, somebody that has 90 days has expired since they've left the
Oh,
WWE.
oh
And
yeah.
we could get some fresh faces or a fresh face in AEW, and someone like a Nick Nemeth, somebody like I don't expect it to be Mustafa Ali, given the news that he's going to be on the independents, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he can't appear in AEW as well. Elias, um, there's a few people. It's interesting that they haven't announced any of the competitors, as far as I'm aware.
Nope.
Nobody's been announced. And if we got a collision this week, is that going to
Nope.
happen?
Nope.
So we've just got Rampage, which has obviously been pre-recorded.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we're just going into the World's End blind as to who the 20 are going to be. Is it going to be one of those battle royals that they do with the deck of cards when they have the spade, the clubs, the hearts, and the diamonds?
It's not a casino battle royal.
Yeah.
No, it's just a normal battle royal.
Okay. I don't mind a battle royal, and as I say, there are some stakes, and there are plenty of people that we can speculate on who might be involved. So yeah, we'll see. I don't mind that addition to the show. I think it's quite a long show. We've got a lot of matches, but I don't mind a battle royal.
No, it'll be interesting. That's for sure. Yeah, I'm just going curious, but you've made a great point. There is so many wrestlers now whose contract is due. It's gone. It's finished now. They're the ones that were released from WWE earlier on. It could be a Nick Nemeth. It could be someone like that. And now you throw up another interesting point, because who had the best Money in the Bank cash in of all time?
Yeah, it's like Ziggler, wasn't it? Yeah.
So you make a good point, Dave. You make a good point. Perhaps
I could see Ziggler as well, or Nick Nemeth. I imagine it'll be Nick Nemeth. He would slot into that TNT picture quite nicely. That kind of, I don't know. I think that'd be an interesting one. You've also got the likes of Sami Callihan. I know you mentioned him as somebody that
could have been a
perhaps
devil.
could be the devil.
Yeah.
So there are people from Impact Stroke TNA that we could be getting. People from Japan. Obviously, AEW have got a working relationship with Japan. There were rumors about Okada going to WWE. Perhaps we could get Okada turning up in AEW. Wouldn't expect him to necessarily feature in a 20-man battle royal.
No.
But it could be somebody else from Japan. Could be somebody like a Zack Sabre Jr. There's a lot of people that would set up a really interesting match against either Christian or Copeland or a champion down the line if they have got a year to cash it in.
Yeah, I don't know how long they've got to cash it in. You're right. That hasn't been, I don't think that's been announced, but it's just that they can cash it in at any time. But you
Yeah.
throw up some interesting names there. I'm sticking with that just because storyline wise, but it would, and it's because it's on 0 hour. I wouldn't, if they were going to bring a Nick Nemeth.
Yeah.
So I would have put that on the main show. I'm going to go into the match that they've just added, literally. Well, I read it this morning, so obviously overnight in America. And then this morning, they've announced an 8-man tag, which is going to be Claudio Castagnoli, Brian Danielson, Mark Briscoe, and Daniel Garcia versus Brody King, Jay White, Jay Lethal, and Roosh, the 8 competitors that was in the Continental Classic. As much as so here's the thing with me, and this, again, I've said I was going to say something in the show. No, actually, I said there'll be. So I'm going to sort of give it not a criticism to a degree. That match is going to be great. I'm going to love the match, and there's no doubt about that. I think it's going to be a brilliant match. I just think on these sorts of shows that Tony Khan has he tends to overbook pay-per-views. This is like a 10-match card without, 10 main matches on the show. I think he could move 2 of these to a Dynamite and Collision, have 8 matches, and give those 8 matches a good time limit on all of them. I don't know what you feel. I mean, the match, we'll get into who we think is going to win afterwards, but what's your make of that? Could he just move to, could that be in Dynamite? Because there's no sort of, these guys winning it. There's nothing. If they announce that the team that wins it would be the first 4 opponents for the winner of the Continental Classic final, I could get it. But could this match not have been moved onto a Dynamite of another match?
Yeah, it's totally unnecessary. It's totally unnecessary. Now, it's conflicting because, as you say, it'll be a good match. It's 8 guys that, will go out there. The fans will enjoy seeing the likes of Roosh and Danielson and Claudio and Jay White, and that's all well and good, but it does take away some of the specialness, if that's a word, behind the pay-per-view. You want to be going into the pay-per-view, a culmination of feuds and stories that have been ongoing for the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, longer in some cases. And if you're just getting an 8-man tag thrown in a day after another 8-man tag was thrown in, just to get 16 guys on the card who really have got no right to be on the card. The winner of the tournament was going to World's End. Now we've got every competitor in the tournament that's gone to World's End. So I imagine it's a really, really difficult task to keep everyone happy and all of the wrestlers happy. And I'm sure every wrestler wants to be on every show, particularly big main events. First ever World's End will be in front of a hot crowd in Long Island. But I think that's where, I don't know, the management of the company has got to be better. And, WWE, for example, they've gone into pay-per-views of late this year. A lot of them, like 6, 7 matches. I think that's fair to say, Ed.
Yeah.
A lot of the big cards, and they have done really, really well. And I think that's a blueprint that, again, I don't want to sound, I don't want AEW to be a little version of WWE, but I do think this is overbooked, and I do think AEW have a tendency to do that, and it's a little bit unnecessary. And what it does, it takes away from some of the other matches, not just from a spectacle, but from a time. If certain matches are reduced in time to allow for other matches to be on the card, I don't think that's what should be happening. So, is this going to be a pre-show, or is this on the main card?
Main card, apparently. Yeah, main card.
Yeah, it's a bit of a head scratcher for me, that. I'll just scratch my head.
Yeah, just need to stop the predictions quickly. Revolution Pro Wrestling have just tweeted out or X'd out that we at Revolution Pro are completely heartbroken to report the loss of our former dear friend Curtis Chapman. We watched Curtis grow from a child to a young man who loved professional wrestling. One of the most gifted technical wrestlers, charismatic characters, and magnetic personalities. He will never be forgotten. So we pass our condolences on to
sad news.
Oh, Curtis Chapman. Sorry about that. It was just something that they tweeted. I just thought it'd be we should put it on the show. Lots of tweets and respects are being paid by a lot of the British. British wrestlers have tweeted out about it as well. There was who's on the Ring of Honor tour with people like So it was just something I saw putting out. So yeah, thought we'd pass our condolences on at the same time. But anyway, let's move on to more happier thoughts than that. The next match on the card. Well, not the next match on the card. The next match, as I am going to put it, is the FTW rules match for the FTW Championship between Hook and Wheeler. Oh, we didn't do our prediction for the first match. Sorry, mate. Who do you think is going to win that match?
Bad guys.
I agree.
Jay White, Roosh.
King, Roosh, and Lethal.
Yeah.
Interesting that Daniel Garcia has been put in with their faces.
Yeah. Yeah. Who are the 4 faces? Briscoe, Claudio, Danielson, Garcia. Yeah, I suppose, to give them credit, there could be some good stuff spiral out of that match for the likes of Garcia. I mean, he's had some great matches against Danielson in the past. I'm just trying to think of what direction they might be going in for these 8 guys, or whether it's just going to be a standalone match, done and dusted, and that's it, and we move on from it. But I'm sure it'd be a good match. So let's just try and enjoy that and not think about it too much.
No, do you reckon it would have been better if they'd said that the team that wins it be the first 4 challengers for the champion?
Yeah, well, they could have even said who wins this. They get a place in the C2 next year. I know it's a little bit far out.
Yeah.
But you would probably expect most of them to be involved, I suppose, because Danielson is stepping back from full time.
Yeah.
Perhaps they couldn't do that. But yeah, a match that's just for this. Eric Bischoff said to us, and some of his opinions, and I'm sure he'd have one about this. It's just a match for the sake of having a match.
Yeah.
There's no real story. There's no real stakes. And when that's on your weekly television, that I don't think that's as much of an issue. When it's onto a big event that you've built towards, I think it'd be interesting to hear Tony Khan's explanation as to why this has been added, other than just to get as many guys on the card as possible. Which, again, I don't think that's always a good thing.
No,
it's a strange criticism, isn't it? Because again, if I was going to World's End, I'd want to be seeing as many of the top AEW stars that I possibly could. But I think if you just judge the event in isolation, it can actually pull down the card, not in terms of match quality, just in terms of story and the effect of those big 6 matches or big 7 matches.
Yeah, exactly that. As I say, sometimes it could be
less is more
over quantity, as I should. Not that this match isn't going to be great, but maybe could have been put on a Dynamite or a Collision. But I agree, the Heels are going to win that from my point of view, and they need to, I think, really as well, because they see what the Heels are. Anyway, I was going to mention this: Hook versus Wheeler Yuta, FTW rules at the FTW. I'm not sure on this because I don't think Hook's going to lose, but I don't think Wheeler Yuta can keep eating defeats the way that he is. I know it is a difficult one. The match should be a really good test for Hook, providing it goes long enough to give him a really decent. Because I think he's had long tag matches, but his single matches haven't generally been 15, 20 minutes. And I would like to see him go for that a long time, because from what you see on a short aspect, has been great. But I need to see Hook in longer matches. So hopefully this goes a while and we really get to see what Hook's got in his locker.
Yeah, I'm not sure in this one either. As you say, you make a great point about Wheeler Yuta. I think the time has come now where he really needs to start picking up victories with more frequency. He's been involved with the BCC a long time now, and he can't just be the fall guy and the guy that eats the pin, or he's got to be starting to his own momentum. And he has had championship reigns. He's had the pure title, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So, and also, how long do you just keep this FTW story going with Hook? He's into his 2nd reign now.
Yeah.
Mate. I think my prediction's Hook, but I wouldn't be disappointed if Wheeler Yuta wins. And then it'd be interesting to see what they both go on to, particularly Hook, because he came in with so much fanfare. Like, he got incredibly over in a short period of time.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen too much of him on a consistent basis, particularly in the last few months. So I'd like to see, and maybe that FTW title to a degree is holding him back.
Maybe.
Let's move him into some other programs or some longer stories, So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Hook as my prediction to win. But as I say, if Yuta wins, I'll be quite happy with that as well.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm going to go with Hook, but I really think that Yuta needs to win today, for sure. Well, not today. Yuta needs to win on Saturday, for sure. But yeah, we'll see what happens on that. But I agree with you. I'm going for Hook.
I mean, obviously, if it's FTW rules, that's no rules, I take it, and that does open the door for outside interference, for weapons, for a level of protection depending on who does lose.
Yeah.
So hopefully both guys come out of it looking good. But yeah, I don't know. We kind of been a bit of a holding pattern with Hook. He just has these FTW defenses. At some point, he's got to drop that title and push on to the next level. And at some point, as we were saying about Wheeler, he's got to stop being the guy that just eats the pins and start standing out on his own right and go on his own run and winning streak and really assert himself further up the card.
Yeah, I absolutely agree on that. We'll see what happens with that one. Another match we got put together on Dynamite, really, and we said this is probably just because Chris Jericho was meant to be teaming with Omega against Ricky Starks and Big Bill. So it's Ricky Starks, Big Bill, and the interesting part of this was when the Don Callis family was added to this. It was going to be Carl Fletcher, Powerhouse Hobbs. It's now been removed. Carl Fletcher has now been removed off of that, and it's now Konosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs with Ricky Starks and Big Bill versus the Sex Gods, Sammy Guevara, Chris Jericho, and Darby Allin and Sting. Now, we mentioned on the AEW Dynamite review that Don Callis family pick up wins as singles, but not as a team. I don't see them winning this, though, Dave, to be quite honest with you. I think just because, again, this match didn't really make storyline sense to a degree. Obviously, as you mentioned on the show, if they'd put Guevara and Jericho together and had them take on Big Bill and Ricky Starks, would have been fine because there is pieces there. I think the faces win this just because I think this match was put together just due to Omega's diverticulitis.
Yeah. I tend to agree. It's interesting that Takeshita's come in. Maybe that's because Carl Fletcher's gone into that battle royal.
Maybe.
I don't want to see Takeshita or Will Hobbs lose. Who else? You got Big Bill. And
maybe
you
Big
got
Bill
Ricky.
takes the pin because they don't really want Starks eating the pin either, do you?
No. Sting's not going to lose. I wouldn't expect Darby's going to lose.
This Jericho eats it. Or Guevara's normally a full guy, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's just come back. So again, if one of the good guys is going to lose, it'd be Jericho.
Yeah.
I think Jericho could take this loss. Again, we're discussing this match, and it's like an unnecessary match. Not only is this match unnecessary, but the other 8-man tag. I am a little bit down on it, to be honest. I am a little bit disappointed that we've got this situation. I would have been quite happy with Big Bill and Ricky defending the titles against Jericho and a Guevara against somebody else, a mystery partner, for example, or even just another team that's in the tag division. I mean, what are FTR doing on Saturday?
Nothing. They called out the House of Black on Collision last week, but nothing's. But again, Brody's. Oh no, well, they don't need Brody, do they? Because it's only a tag, isn't it? So yeah, nothing. Oh, unless they're in the battle.
Yeah.
Because funnily enough, Orange Cassidy, the international champion, isn't on the card at the moment.
Yeah.
We don't love these matches.
It's like they've put so much effort and thought into certain matches, but then very little. Or in fairness, Kenny, his illness, they couldn't plan for that, so that has had an effect on this.
Yeah.
I can't see Sting losing or a team that Sting's on losing. No. So, but I'm struggling to see who they pick the win up over.
No.
I'm going to have to make a decision. And just to make things interesting between you and me, you're going for the faces, I'll going for the heels, but it's a coin toss for me. Just because I think out of the 8 competitors, who should be the one to lose? Jericho. So I'll go for the bad guys again in the Don Callis family.
There you go. Yeah, it's one of those. Both of those 8 men could have been left off the card, moved on to Collision and Dynamite next week, and given the other matches 3 or 4 minutes each, which could make a difference between a good and great. That 4 minutes they could have added on to those. It can be as small as that can make the biggest difference, can't it?
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. We're in total agreement, mate.
Yeah, so, but yeah, those 2.
There's a lot of really good stuff on this show that I'm really, really looking forward to.
Yeah.
But as the last few days of, I'm slightly down coming off the back of what was a really good Dynamite.
Huge Dynamite, really good.
But what the announcements for the pay-per-view and the extra matches, that's had like a negative effect on it for me.
I still think they're going to be there'll be at least one more match added, not necessarily to the main card. I think 10 on the main card will be it, but I reckon they'll do 12 and maybe have another. I don't know, it's a battle royal, unless because battle royals normally battle royal is generally a clusterfuck, no matter what promotion or where you watch it, isn't it? And it's just I mean, it baffles me that Cassidy isn't on.
Cassidy
At the minute, he's not.
Yeah.
Style. Because it used to be like the random generator, didn't it? Who's going to be the opponent this week? And they haven't done that. I mean, he had his match with Rocky Romero on Rampage last week. So,
there's not one person in the world that thought Rocky Romero was going to beat Orange Cassidy.
Definitely not.
And then, as you say, Orange is in a 6-man tag on Rampage, and he's one of the top title holders. Really, really great run first time round. This one hasn't really caught. Yeah, he hasn't had the opportunity to get that momentum. But a big match at World's End against a returning star.
Yeah,
someone like Pac. I don't know what Pac's doing at the minute, if he's still injured or how far he's off a return.
Yeah.
But there's just better use of the titles and the talent and the people that are on the show. There's some that perhaps shouldn't be, and there's stars that aren't on the show that perhaps should be. Particularly when they're your title, they're your champions. Your champions should be on the majority of your main shows.
Yeah. I agree with that. Like I say, maybe it'll be added. I mean, if it's added, you kind of know that Cassidy isn't dropping, but maybe it will be added. But he could be in a battle royal, but I just don't see the reason why he needs to be in it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't make
I'm not saying I'm giving AEW a bit of criticism on this prediction show. It's not an easy job, but we tried to put together a top 10, a prediction show, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think I had 14 matches because I just look at all the talent in AEW. We did a WWE versus AEW supercard, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I couldn't really do it. I couldn't get that down to 6 or 7 matches. So, I'm living in a glass house and throwing stones to a degree. But it just seems a little bit unnecessary. But from the wrestler's point of view, I think however many go on the show, the profit and the gate is split. In terms of pay-per-view buys, in terms of merchandise, it's giving more and more wrestlers more opportunities to earn. But does that have a detrimental effect on if there was less guys on the show? Are they taking a bigger split then?
Well, this is it. Yeah, that is the problem. But
so can you win really? Because more guys might be getting a cut, but your guys that have been in the big feature storylines and are really in the matches that people are really looking forward to, they're ultimately not getting as much as they would be prior to the other matches being added.
Yeah, I agree. I'm still a big fan of less, and sometimes less is more.
Maybe one to ask Eric next year.
Do we really? Well, yeah, maybe, yeah.
In terms of how it works, in terms of the split,
I think it probably differs per promotion. I would have thought. It'd be interesting to get his. Because I think Hogan contract had a bit of the gate in WCW.
Yeah.
Well, from what we hear, anyway. But Eric will know. Eric, when you come on in 2024, that will be one of the questions that we ask.
Yeah.
Okay, so just get your answer ready, Eric. If you're watching, I'm sure you will be. Let's talk women now. One of the winners, Julie Hart against Abaddon for the TBS Championship. I think it's going to be too early for Julia to drop. I'm just getting invested. I've always been invested. Julie Hart, since she went to the House of Black, she changed the character from that awful cheerleading character that she had with Griff and Pillman.
Didn't like that, man.
No, I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan of it because I didn't think it done any of them any favors. I mean,
no.
To be honest, Brian Pillman's lost in the first round of the NXT tournament this week, breakout tournament this week. Anyway, so I don't know if the move to WWE is really paying off at the minute. Or sorry, Lexus King as he's called now. Griff Garrickson's fallen off a cliff. I think he was on Ring of Honor this week. So was Zach Zodiac, by the way. Peter Avalon.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, he beat Avalon, didn't he?
He did, and he looked good. So well done, Zach. Thanks for coming on earlier in the year. Appreciate that, and great to see you doing big things. And we know big things are on the horizon for you. And if you want to book Zach Zodiac, any promoters watching, he's got his details on his page. We will share that after the show. I'll ask permission first if we can share his promotional picture that he has. We do it for RKJ. He's wanting his family. So yeah, big up Zach Zodiac, and we look forward to seeing you more in AEW as we go into 2024. Anyway, let's go back to what I was talking about, the women's championship, the Julia Hart. Yeah, she's come a long way since she joined the House of Black. I think that suits her better. Her character's evolved. She's evolved. She's getting better because she's getting more match time. It's great to see Abaddon back in AEW. Bit of a niche character for that one for her. She's sort of a voodoo-y sort of character. So it is a bit of a difficult one, I suppose, for her in that essence. The good thing I like about her is you don't see the spooky shit. Like, if she was in the WWE, she'd be like, disappearing, reappearing, turning lights on and off and making people disappear and all that sort of stuff. If she was in Impact, she'd probably be the same as what I've just said. So it's great to see her back. She's a great worker as well. But I just feel as if it's too early in the reign for Julia for her to be dropping this.
Yeah, I expect Julia to win. I expect Sky Blue to be involved. And I also expect Thunder Rosa to be face to face with Julia at the end, setting up a potential feud and story there. And I think Thunder Rosa versus Julia Hart is a more intriguing story to me. And probably a better match. But I think this will be great. I've really been impressed by Abaddon. I'm glad she's been on weekly TV. She's on a hell of a run herself. I think she's on an undefeated streak of about 25 matches, something like that. So I think that will come to an end against Julia.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure in saying this will be Abaddon's first pay-per-view appearance for AEW. Certainly is for a long, long time. First time in 2023 for sure. So I'm glad to see different stars getting opportunities. And they will put on a great match with Julia. Julia's going to win though.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. But it's great to see, we've been critical of the women's division booking in all, promotions, not so much Impact, but on all promotions. But it's great to see the ones that have been there. So Abaddon's been there for ages, and it's great to see her. She's obviously improved. I know she was posting about her weight loss, so she's obviously feeling better about herself. That's kind of going. You kind of see that in the ring as well. There's a bit more of a confidence about. Look, I'm talking like I'm a fucking veteran of the ring. I have no fucking clue, but it's but you can see when they've had the matches, when they do, obviously they do some independent stuff as well. I'm not so sure Julia Hart does, but I know Abaddon has. But you can see that confidence, and it's really now given AEW a women's division that they can actually look at, and you can pinpoint 6 to 8 names that can, main event shows, and they wouldn't be a miss.
Yeah, and that's with the absence of your Britt Baker and your Jamie Hayter as well.
She's coming back as well. Tony Khan mentioned that on the call, so it'd be great to see her back as well.
Yeah, but I really think they've done a great job with Abaddon, and I'm really glad that different wrestlers are getting these opportunities to go out there and challenge for the top titles in the company. And they've built it well. They've got other elements. They've got Thunder Rosa who teamed with Abaddon last week. So yeah, I think not only was it going to be a good match, I think what will come out of that match will set up things for the early parts of 2024 in the TBS title picture.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking for, and it's good to see. It is good to see that the women, meaningful matches, we always say meaningful matches, meaningful storylines, give them an opportunity. And maybe the minutes could be, there is a slight thing about the time limit they're getting, but they've got 2 title matches on the show on this one. So yeah, let's just see what happens in 2024. If they get Mercedes Moné, which is unlikely at this stage by the sounds of it, from what we've been hearing, it's in good hands.
Another name in the women's division that we haven't seen much of due to illness, I think, is Serena Deeb. So
she's had some illnesses, hasn't she?
Yeah, hopefully she'll be back at some point.
What was it? Was it fits that she was having, or some sort of?
Yeah, it was something that was obviously meant she couldn't train, she couldn't perform. She is an incredible pro wrestler, the Professor. So that's another name that hopefully going into 2024, there's a lot of good pieces to the puzzle. And it's just putting them all together. And as you say, meaningful stories, which culminate in great matches and great angles. And we're definitely seeing signs of that And the likes of Abaddon have played a huge part in that in the latter stages of this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So more of the same with AEW, but yeah, I think we both agree Julia Hart's nicking this one for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to move to a match that we discussed this on the Dynamite show, and we kind of said that this match is kind of a lose-lose situation, which is Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. Now the feud has been going; it was started about a year ago, and it really just died a death.
Yeah.
And then the wheels started turning. Keith Lee was doing promos saying, "I'm coming after you." Yeah, it was always a you, but he didn't say
him. Yeah, it was him, wasn't he? So.
He was coming after him, but he never mentioned who the him was. He had the match with Shane Taylor. Then he was still talking about him. Who's him? Apart from the fact that him and WWE is Camilo Hayes, and we know.
Yeah, I think he commented on that, didn't he?
Yeah. So it weren't going to be that. So it's Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. So that's where he was. He laid out the challenge. He was meant to turn up on Dynamite, but didn't. He got the contract to Schiavone. It was signed by Swerve. But we mentioned this on the show that this is really a lose-lose match, isn't it?
I think so for Keith.
Swerve loses that momentum that I know he probably won't derail him too much, but it's for me, Swerve has to win this.
Swerve has to win. That's I'm not gonna change my stance on that. I'll be hugely disappointed if Swerve doesn't win this match, however they do it. But surely there's a way of doing this that doesn't completely bury Keith Lee.
That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just not sure how. As I say, the only suggestion I've got, and we mentioned it on the Dynamite review, was associating Keith Lee with the Mogul Embassy and bringing him on board with that. That could work, and that could, stop Keith being affected too much. But Swerve Strickland, he's just had too good a year. Too good, particularly the back end of the year. Some of the matches he's had, the match with Hangman, the feud with Hangman. His matches in the tournament have been fantastic. His promos have been fantastic. The crowd love him, and he's kind of organically turning from heel to a babyface, despite the despicable things he's done and said, because he's just so popular and so over with the crowd. So you cannot close the year out with him lying on the mat, taking the pin to Keith Lee. To anybody, to be honest, and this isn't a Keith Lee thing. I wouldn't be happy if Swerve was going out and losing to Kenny Omega on Saturday night. But it's interesting to see how they're going to do it. So there is intrigue around this. We'll see. My prediction, though, Swerve wins.
Yeah, I'm not torn as such, but I'm kind of in the middle of I feel as if they both have to win this match. That's my problem. They both have to win. For me, a lost Swerve Strickland derails him. If he's got going for title aspirations, and you look at it and go, well, hang on a minute, you just lost to Keith Lee, who basically fell off a cliff the last few times, and it was just and then a loss for Keith Lee just puts him in the same. Well, he's nothing again. So
someone like we spoke about on the Dynamite review with Sean Spears, someone that's come in, has had good matches, and exactly. There's been signs of perhaps something good can happen for this performer, but the amount of losses, you can't always keep absorbing loss after loss. And I just, if Keith Lee loses and that's just it, then I fear for the short term and the long term future of Keith Lee in AEW. I think it would have to be seen as a failure, and it wouldn't surprise me, you, or anybody if, come the end of his contract, they part ways. I hope it doesn't come to that, because he is very different. He's very talented. He's had some great matches. I hark back to my friend who's a huge New Japan guy, and Keith Lee's matches with Ishii, phenomenal.
Jesus.
Phenomenal matches, and somebody that puts on those type of matches, in some respects, AEW style matches, kind of suit the style, suit the fan base. Really, Keith Lee should have been a huge home run for AEW, and that just hasn't happened so far. He's had a little bit of success in terms of tag titles with Swerve, The story was never finished. We've got that opportunity to right that wrong on Saturday, but I don't know how Keith Lee loses and moves forward in a positive manner.
Yeah.
So I can't. Swerve can't lose. Swerve can't lose.
I'm going to go with Swerve, and I just because if they've got aspirations of him to go on and win championships, and he done an interview with Chris Van Vliet, and he wants to be the first black AEW. I don't like to say the word black because racism and shit, but he wants to be his words. He wants to be the first black AEW champion.
Yeah. He kind of stated that. That's his aspiration and that's his goal, to be the first black AEW champion. And I would love to see that happen.
Absolutely.
There's a few guys I would love to see have an AEW world title run in 2024. Swerve Strickland is at the top of that list. Samoa Joe is another one, and we'll get to that match later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we could be sitting here in a year's time closing out 2024 and Swerve Strickland's got that world title around his waist.
Yeah.
But a loss to Keith Lee at World's End really throws that into a lot of doubt. And he's overcome a lot of ups and downs in the beginning. He lost too many matches that he should have won. And they've done a great job with Swerve. He's done the great job. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of this is on Swerve Strickland himself. But the booking has kind of gone hand in hand with that. He can't be closing out the year losing. He just can't. I just can't accept that.
Yep, I totally agree with you, mate. Totally agree. Another match that was put together on Dynamite. There is like a story behind it, but again, I question whether this needed to be on World's End and perhaps would have been better on Collision. Andrade versus Miro. It got on Dynamite. Miro threw out the challenge. Andrade accepted. Obviously, there's the CJ Perry thing. Miro's wife's in the corner of Andrade coming up. No doubt it's going to be a great match, and these two will absolutely they'll do some great. Did they not? Was his not Miro's return match a couple of pay-per-views ago?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and Miro beat him, didn't he? And then after, right? I'm right in saying that.
Yeah,
really looking forward to it. I think Andrade picks up the win here. Miro doesn't have a lot of matches. I mean, he's not fought in a while on AEW. Is this a case of there is, I suppose this is a great thing to have, too many top tier wrestlers in a roster? Because you look at the names that we've been talking about today, wouldn't be amiss going for world titles. Is this a case of they've got too many of that kind of ilk of talent in the roster?
Really, really difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think regardless of what happens with Miro, he's raised his stock in the industry, because I think when he left WWE, I don't think it was an absolute disaster for them.
No.
I thought it was a good pickup for AEW, but I think now the opportunity for Miro to go back to WWE would be a big deal. So I think for wrestlers, it has been great that there's the two companies doing so well. 3 companies if you include TNA, 4 if you include New Japan. There's just so much opportunity. But it does make it really difficult. There's only so many places at the top of the card. You can only have really one world champion in AEW. And I wouldn't say he's get lost in the sauce, but it is really difficult for him to kind of not be the champion and be in between and be in that mid to upper card. And then when you're up against the likes of Andrade, you don't want Andrade losing either. And I agree with yourself. I think Andrade is going to pick up the win here. And there's an interesting way they can do it with CJ Perry.
Yeah.
Whether it's just a distraction or whether he just can't focus because his wife's at ringside.
Off the top rope, does something like that, or he kicks in the face, that sort of stuff that, and obviously it's good to see CJ Perry because she was in a very bad state in hospital. She had a really bad infection.
Yeah,
They managed to, so good news to hear on that. But I agree. I think it's going to come down to that, something happening there, whether she fully turns on Miro or whether he does goes for a thrust kick and knocks her off the apron or
something like that.
Do you think though that because he's not competing regularly on television and you see the likes of you even see the likes of the Garcias, the Brody Kings, even the Orange Cassidys who wrestle week in, week out, win championships, their stock rises, and they've gone above Miro because it's 4 weeks really between his matches. So you don't see enough of him for him to be up that top echelons of the card.
Yeah, and I don't understand why that is the case for so many AEW wrestlers. I don't know if it's just because of the size of the roster, but there's certain guys you see week in, week out, and there's others that you see every few weeks, month. Every time they have a match is seemingly a return because you just haven't seen them for so long, and that really does affect their momentum.
Mm.
And Miro just hasn't really got a lot of momentum going into. I mean, when we have seen him, he's generally won,
Yeah.
and he's had good matches.
Mm.
But it's just hard to get really invested in a run when you're only seeing a bit of a promo every other week.
Yeah.
Andrade has some great matches in the C2.
Mhm.
And I think he's going to capitalize on that momentum and pick up the win here. But again, what happens with Miro then? It's a difficult challenge that Tony Khan's got, having such an incredible roster of talented performers.
Does that also bode and when contracts are up that they're like, I'm not hitting that where I should be or where they think they should be? And does that go into then them thinking, oh, I could make a jump to say either WWE or an Impact where I might be more, I don't know, say the word used, but it is so difficult. Has he got too many? Is the question. Is Tony Khan? Listen, he's already said that he's going to be very interested in the free agent bin next year. So he's already saying there's more coming. But is there a case of too many chefs in the kitchen?
Possibly. I mean, you got Will Ospreay coming in, who
Ospreay, we've got to fit Ospreay in this next year. Yeah,
I think Ospreay's the best wrestler on the planet right now.
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not just saying that because he's British.
Well,
Maybe I'm
no,
partly
but
saying that he's
there
British.
is that. He is the best. There's no doubt.
He's phenomenal. His matches against Kenny and Okada, he's got better with it, and he doesn't do as much. He's still just got an amazing move set and phenomenal moves, but I don't know. He's got better with age for me. I think he's just become a much more rounded performer. Great on the microphone as well, which that has really surprised me a bit this year, hearing him talk a bit more.
I'd say with the microphone stuff, because he's British, and sometimes it doesn't resonate, does it? With the fan. Different with him.
Different with him, absolutely.
Different with him.
And you saw that in his promo a few weeks back when he said, guys, I've just got to finish off in New Japan, but then I'm here for you, and we'll have these matches. And the crowd just ate it up. So I'm really looking forward to that. But then when you've got the likes of your Jerichos, your Stings.
Sting's got one left, isn't he, after this?
So are we going to start seeing less of those guys? I think Jericho will have his Jericho cruise coming up as well in January, February. So maybe
Michael Oku's on.
Yeah, there is. So maybe we'll see a bit more rotation, and then we'll get more of a consistent run from the likes of Miros, from the Andrades. It's not an easy job by any means, and I wouldn't just want to be seeing the same performers week in, week out. I do like the fact that you can have a break from certain wrestlers and they're cycled back in, but it just seems to happen a lot with the likes of Miro. I want to see him now go on a run of week in, week out. We see him having great matches, involved in a great story, and he becomes one of the most important performers for the company. And he's been a bit part player to a degree. And I think his talent is more than that, and his character, the Redeemer, has been a huge hit with fans as well. I just want to see more of it.
Yeah, I do. I really want to see more of it. I just think Tony Khan's got a really possible job at the minute with the names, with the stature, and then you're growing the likes of a Ricky Starks, for argument's sake, and growing a Swerve, and you've got this not even say underdog, but you've got this like ones that like surprise you, like a Brody King. The Continental Classic has massively elevated people like Brody King on top. It's even elevated Briscoes and people, even when they hardly won the match. They've got so many. Miro, I tell you what, Miro needs to be in the Continental Classic next year. That's
100%. He would have been a great fit. I think a problem that AEW have created for themselves, and this is a young company, and they've done so well. I don't know whether they expected their homegrown stars to do as well and get so over as they have, which is obviously a success story. That's great that fans are so invested in your likes of Danny Garcia's, your Orange Cassidy's. I know Swerve was in NXT, but I really think we've seen the best of Swerve in this AEW run. Um, there's others, the likes of the Acclaim. There's so many homegrown performers and acts in AEW that have done so well. So in hindsight, you'd say, well, did they really need that influx of WWE stars to come over? Well, they probably would have been just fine without them. But how can we complain about that? There have been so many good matches, and we want to see these performers who perhaps we'd seen they come to the end of the run in WWE, but they've still got plenty more mileage in them, plenty more great matches, as we've saw with Danielson. To a degree, we've saw with Copeland, and we'll see Copeland have another great match, I'm sure, at World's End. We don't want to see these guys disappear. We want to be seeing them on our wrestling shows.
Yeah.
But because of the homegrown stars doing so well, then it's just made it such an even harder task for Tony Khan. I don't envy him. I think maybe moving forward, he will continue to grow his team backstage and bring more people into roles from a creative standpoint to make sure that people don't get lost in the sauce and people are kind of showcased consistently and that they're cycled in and out, because that must be a good thing for wrestlers as well, knowing that if they've got a new child like Sammy Guevara and Tay Mello, they work for a boss and a company where they can have a couple of months at home. That is a possibility, which wouldn't always be the case in WWE.
No, exactly that. I mean, I've also got to factor in the fact that Sting's retiring, Daniel's in his final year, so there is opportunity. But as you say, it's a difficult job for him.
Guys like Jeff Jarrett, the Hardys, people like that. I'm sure some people would sit here and say, "Well, we don't want to see that," but there's obviously a fan base for them. There's a big following of the Hardy Boys, and people didn't want them to go out with a whimper, and they did want them to have this last run in AEW, but it's just so difficult, man. And they've got Ring of Honor there, but
and you've
maybe Ring of Honor could be used better.
Yeah, sorry, you've still got the return of the Bucks and Adam Page to factor into this yet as well.
And obviously Kenny at some point, hopefully Kenny will be cleared, but I think that's probably a long road ahead for Kenny with his diverticulitis.
Indeed.
There's probably other guys we haven't even mentioned that, because they've just got so much talent. Juice, yeah.
Guns.
Yeah.
We haven't seen them since Juice's injury either. So there's another bit for them into the mix. So we both said Andrade picks up the win on that one.
Yeah.
Long way of saying that, but Andrade on that one. The other women's match is Timeless Tony Storm and Rio. Tony Storm's character is it's just so good. I love the character of Tony Storm. Think it's been brilliantly done. She plays it so well. It's good to see Rio back, but I don't think in a million Sundays that we'll be seeing Rio win the title. It wouldn't surprise me if Hayter returns at the end of this match.
Yeah, I could see that. I'd like to see that as well. I think they have a great match, first and foremost. I'm really, really looking forward to this match. Tony Storm will win. Off the back of it, I hope we continue to see more of Rio because I think she's done really well since she's returned. But Jamie Hayter is a name that, is UK fans as well. Not just UK fans. I think Jamie Hayter was loved worldwide by AEW fans and wrestling fans. It'd be great to get her back soon. We'd love to see her get a match at Wembley this year. But let's just get her back on television for now if she's ready, which hopefully, as you say, she is. I think that'd be a huge, huge boost for AEW and the women's division to get Jamie Hayter back in action.
Absolutely. And you're in agreement that obviously Timeless retains.
Tony wins this match.
The next match has had a lot of build. It's been well done. It's the no disqualification match for the Christian Cage versus Edge, Adam Copeland, shall we say. I mean, this match has been so well done. Obviously, we had Copeland coming in, had that match, the one match with Sting, it was Sting and Darby, wasn't it, the last pay-per-view. Christian has literally berated him. They've had the whole Nick Wayne's mom situation as well. So everything has been there. The no DQ match, it will be what I call old school, no DQ match, taking you probably back to, the old times of wrestling. But this should be a really good match. I think Copeland wins, like you've already mentioned. Christian won the first. Christian, did he beat him the first time?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, didn't he?
Nick Wayne's mom cost him.
That was it in Montreal. It was a Montreal screw job-ish kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Copeland wins the TNT Championship, but I still, going back to what I said before, potentially Kill Switch wins the 20-man battle royal and then cashes in. But I think whatever happens, Copeland wins the title on this occasion.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I don't know if they'll involve Kill Switch in it. We haven't seen him. Will he be in the battle royal? We'll know that on the pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
I think Copeland wins the match. I think he takes the title. I think Christian is one hell of a run at the minute. Really, really enjoying the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
But the challenge for me would be how Christian can win. How that affects Copeland. I'm sure, he's got a Hall of Fame, he's a Hall of Fame, he's a Hall of Fame career. He's had incredible matches, incredible wins, shows like WrestleMania. I'm sure he could endure a loss to Christian. But I just don't see where they go from there then with him. That'll be 2 matches down, 2 title defenses, 2 title opportunities that he fails. So the only way out of this is a Copeland win. That's my prediction.
Would it be interesting if it turns out that Nick Wayne's mum and Christian's at work to get, sometimes they do that turn to do another turn because that was the whole plan.
Yeah.
Or do we see Beth Phoenix? Beth Copeland.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't thought about. That could be a way of doing it. Yeah.
I don't know what her concept.
Yeah, even the odds to a degree, and a little bit of a surprise and an assist for Copeland to pick up the title. Yeah, that's a good show, mate. I just don't know how much interference we're going to see throughout the whole show, because if they do it in a match or 2, I wouldn't expect it to be in like 4 or 5 matches that have got screwy finishes.
Yeah, exactly.
AEW don't do a great deal of it. They do it, but it's not like a feature of it. A lot of the matches are settled in the ring. Now, this is an ODQ match, so that does change that to a degree. Yeah. I think Copeland needs it. And what I would really like to see, I don't think that will necessarily be it between him and Christian long term, but in the short term, I would like Copeland go on to have some of these dream matches that we were kind of fantasy booking when he came into AEW. I think there's a lot of one-on-one matches there. I think he would have been a great addition to the C2, as so many wrestlers in the company would have been. But I think we want this run in 2024 of Copeland going out there, having great one-on-one matches with some of the incredible talent in AEW. So that would be my hope, is that Copeland picks up the win here.
Yeah, agree. Totally agree. The next one is the finals of what has been an amazing tournament, the Continental Classic. Eddie Kingston, Moxley, absolutely fantastic. Brilliant stuff. I can't wait for this. This has been a brilliant tournament, showcase wrestling. I'm going to go out there and say this is the best tournament I've seen in wrestling. I can't. I've never seen a G1, so I can't.
Yeah, I've only seen bits of one, so I can't claim that I've sat like a whole tournament. I'm in total agreement with you, though. This is the best tournament that I've seen. I'm already looking forward to next year's, and I hope they expand it. I mean, the formula that they've used has been great.
Yeah.
But I want even more of it, which means more matches and more competitors. And I think AEW is the perfect promotion to put this tournament together, and it's just been a huge success for them. So yeah, more of it.
More of it. Kingston and Moxley in the finals to become it's actually we called it the Triple Crown on the show, but it's actually the Continental Championship that they win. They're amalgamating the Ring of Honor World Championship, the IWGP Strong Championship, and the Continental Championship. Oh, it is the Continental Championship together. Oh, Triple Crown. It is the Triple Crown Championship. I was right. Sorry, I was reading it wrong. I think Kingston has to win this.
Yeah.
The story is written. He has beaten Danielson, who he hasn't beaten before, and he lost to Danielson early on. He's never beaten John Moxley, ever, in a wrestling match, whether it's a single, multi-man. Never beaten him. In my view, this has to be the end. Kingston has to win this match.
Yeah, it's in New York as well,
and it's in New York. Yeah, Jesus, what more do you want?
Yeah, I'm I think it's going to be a great match, and a lot of emotion will go into it, and obviously real life best friends. And this isn't something we saw this match previously for the AEW World Title a couple of years ago, but that was a very different Eddie Kingston we saw then. We've seen him go on an incredible run in AEW. He's had an incredible tournament. So we've mentioned on the Dynamite show to go from losing the first two matches and still managing to progress to the final to defend his championships. I think it's been a perfect story. And I think that's the perfect story needs the perfect ending, which is Eddie Kingston standing tall with those three belts after what will be a great match against Moxley.
Yeah, I think so. It's got to be done, in my opinion. Can't see it any other way. I think it'd be a travesty if Eddie doesn't pick up the win, and it doesn't hurt Moxley if he loses that one. In my opinion,
No, I think they can do some really good things with like near falls where you think Eddie's just not going to overcome the odds, and whether that's false finishes, whether that's there's a number of interesting things they can do to really get the crowd even more invested into it and the fans watching at home even more invested. But I think when it's all said and done, the time is for Eddie Kingston to get his moment and he's had one big moment this year at Arthur Ashe, picking up that Ring of Honor World title, defeating one of his biggest nemesis in Claudio.
Yeah.
To get this first victory over Moxley after his first victory over Danielson on Dynamite, I think that's just the perfect way for the story to finish and the year to finish for Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's time for him. I can't wait. The main event, well, which we assumed the main event, MJF Samoa Joe. Now, this has got a lot of different things on this because obviously there's the stuff with the devil and the devil's dudes. Now, we're going to find out who the devil is. You're still thinking Adam Cole, Dave. I don't know. I've gone through so many people that but I'm leaning towards Adam Cole after this week on Dynamite, where Samoa Joe basically had already cut a deal with the devil, basically.
Yeah.
The whole thing. But there is also this thing about MJF and the 2024 bidding war. Now, rumors have been in it as far as the WWE. The rumors was that he's re-signed with AEW already, and he's nothing. If he loses, and I think personally he will, I think Samoa Joe will capture the AEW World Championship at World's End. There does bode the question as to whether or not MJF is leaving AEW at the same time. Now, are they doing that so he takes some time off to heal his shoulder injury, which he's got, and then he comes back? Or is it over for MJF in AEW?
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not for AEW's sake. I don't think MJF in WWE is the same MJF that we see in AEW. I still think he could be a hell of a success there if he's booked right. Again, big friend with Cody Rhodes. So it's not off the table. The fact that it's in Long Island, we've got this culmination of the Devil storyline. He's just lost his Ring of Honor titles, which again we haven't really seen the aftermath of because of how close it is to the pay-per-view. So it's a lot of different stories and different things going into this. I think my heart would want MJF to win, but my head is saying Samoa Joe, which again, I love the fact that there are a lot of these matches where I don't know which way they're going to go. Yeah, and they're title matches as well. Other than perhaps the women's matches, the women's world title matches, I think there's so many other matches on this card that could go either way. And there's justification for them to go either way. I would love to see Samoa Joe get a world title run. Do I think it's going to happen at World's End in Long Island, where Max is obviously from? It'd be a great place for Max's world to come crumbling down in some respects in front of his friends, his family, his kind of hometown. But it'd also be a great scene for him to overcome all of the odds, the devil, Samoa Joe, everything else, and retain. Really, really interesting. And I'm sure this will main event and this will close the show. I'm going to go for a Max win.
Oh, okay.
Which has surprised myself a little bit.
I'm going to go for... I don't think he's leaving AEW, by the way, MJ.
No.
I just think that your bits where he said World's End, his world comes crumbling down. The friends that he had, or the friends that he started to trust have turned on him. Adam Cole, Samoa Joe. That's where I think this whole pay-per-view centers around, and I think AEW have done such a fantastic job of building towards a pay-per-view which is new, but also can captivate a storyline in the name, the World's End. His world to an end. His world crumbles around him. So I'm going for a Joe win. I think MJF has re-signed. I don't think they would have invested all of this storyline in MJF had he not re-signed with AEW. And I think that will be a big way to start 2024 with the announcement that MJF has re-signed, or they play it that he takes a few months away because of the injury, because and because of everyone turning on him. He takes those few months away. Then that entails that, is he going to WWE kind of thing, for a massive return down the line to culminate with whoever the devil is.
Yeah.
Seemed to be Adam Cole. And maybe his friends have turned on him.
Wardlow. You know what? If it's not Adam Cole, which I still think it will be, and he is still recovering from his injury, that gives them an opportunity to bring Adam Cole and MJF back at the same time in a couple of months' time, perhaps. So yeah, you could definitely have something there.
I think.
I don't know with this one. I don't know.
I think it's going to be all of MJF's people that he put, barring Sean Spears. Obviously, Sean Spears is gone, but I think the Pinnacle, Wardlow, so FTR. I even looked like Preston Vance actually the other day. We don't even, the people that are there doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be the people that are thinking.
Revealed, yeah.
So I think it's everyone that MJF was close to. So Adam Cole, potentially definitely Wardlow, maybe FTR because they were apart, but then they've got something going on with the House of Black, so it's it's difficult to sort of, but could be them because then House of Black are kind of tweeners, aren't they? They're not. They should be heels, but they get cheered, so it is one of those things. FTR being sort of edging towards a heelish kind of persona. Could even be the Young Bucks.
Yeah,
potentially. I know they've done Adam Page on the hood of the car, but so I kind of think it's everyone MJF's trusted will be the ones that do his downfall, and Samoa Joe wins the AEW title. Though it doesn't make sense for Adam Cole to do a deal with Samoa Joe so that he wins the title, because Adam Cole wants the title. So I don't know how that pans out either. There's so many questions, but that's what AEW have done great with it, is they booked it in such a way that there's so many different areas they can go on, and I'm really looking forward to watching. I'm turning off socials on Sunday when we get to watch it Sunday morning, and I'm going to watch it fully with intrigue, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what happens with this.
Yeah. Is there any chance that Devil's Britt Baker?
No, absolutely. It could be. Yeah. She posted about the time, or she could even be a good one of the Devil's people. There is a chance of that. Britt Baker's been not happy with the TV time, and that could tie into it all. Britt Baker and Adam Cole could be in cahoots with it, doing it at the same. Maybe there's two Devils. It could be, who knows? That's what AEW have done so well, and he gets criticised about. We've even had things today saying, "Look, that didn't need to be here, that didn't need to be there." But what they've done well in the Continental Classic was a massive success, and this storyline has been a huge success for AEW.
Yeah,
and you've got to, as much as you slate them, you've got to praise them when they do things right, and people don't do that enough, especially with AEW. They're quick to criticise them, not quick to praise them when they do something good.
That's fair, and it's kind of a bit of a compliment, the fact that we criticise to a degree the extra matches, because that's just stopping us getting to the reveal and what we want to see. So maybe that's why the frustration is. It's like a delaying thing, and we've got to wait a little bit longer to find out what's actually happening. Are we even going to find out at World's End? You'd expect so. Tony Khan has said so. I think it is time, but we don't have to necessarily have the whole everything revealed. We could just have an element of it. We find out who the devil is. We've got Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions with no identity at the minute, so there's more to it than just who the devil is. And we'll see how that plays out, and I'm sure we'll have some more answers next time we speak after when we start to review World's End.
We'll be reviewing World's End on Sunday. We may have a guest joining us from America. We'll have to find out. That's going to be going out there. We're throwing out the invite today to see if that's going to happen. Hopefully he will be joining us on Sunday. It's going to be a fantastic show. As I said before, you can be critical of what's booking of AEW. The last 3 or 4 months have been booked absolutely perfectly on all shows, not just Dynamite. Collision's been great. Rampage has threw out a nice break away from those storylines. Rampage has threw out some incredible matches as well. So AEW really, they've done some great work over these last 3 or 4 months. The World's End crowd is looking nearly full as well, and that gets criticized a lot. That's looking like they've booked the right venue. They've got the crowd, but there's only about a couple of hundred seats left for that, so that's going to be a nice full crowd. The New York crowd will be loud as well, so they're going to have everything in place as long as he books this right. But is it important, finally, Dave, that they get, after everything, that they get the devil right?
I think so, and there's a lot of pressure on it now, isn't there? And hopefully the reveal and the overall story is as good as the setup, because it's been great. We've really, really enjoyed it. We've enjoyed discussing it, talking about it, speculating. There's been a lot of people in the frame.
Yeah.
Hopefully tomorrow night we'll finally find out who it is.
I hope so. But guys, that has been a really good review of the Worlds. I've really, really enjoyed talking things. I've always enjoyed talking wrestling with you, Dave, but this has been a really informative review of Worlds End. We'll be back on Sunday to review the Worlds End show. It's going to be great. Join us then on the Hitting the Turnbuckle channel. But in the meantime, follow us on Twitter, HTT Buckle. Hit us on any social Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. And obviously, because it's an AEW show, Dave, you get to do the honors.
I'll do it properly this time. It's time to bid you all adieu, goodbye, mwah, and good night. Bang.
Stay safe, everybody.